CBS 6 News at 6 starts with a breaking news alert.
One of the most anticipated court cases of the year is now officially underway in Richmond. Good evening, I'm Bill Fitzgerald.
And I'm Janine Samuels. We are anchoring our coverage live outside of the John Marshall Courthouse. The murder trial of a young man accused of shooting and killing a teen shortly after Huguenot High School's graduation ceremony last year began earlier this afternoon. It was June 6, 2023, outside the Altria Theater. Shots rang out, killing graduate Sean Jackson and his stepfather, Renzo Smith.
20-year-old Amari Pollard was taken into custody and is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 18-year-old Sean Jackson. We have complete coverage this evening. Our Tyler Lane and Elizabeth Holmes have been in court all day. Elizabeth was one of the first reporters on the scene the actual day of the shooting, and she joins us now live with opening arguments from the prosecution. Liz?
Well, Commonwealth Attorney Colette McKeechin really started off with an emotional statement talking about Sean Jackson's mother. She said that June 6th was supposed to be one of her happiest days. Her only son was getting to graduate from high school, and she said it, quote, ended in despair with both her son and her husband being shot and killed. Now, McKeechin went on to say that the family was very busy that day, that they were not trying to hang out after graduation and engage with people because they really just wanted to say goodbye. Sean was actually starting a new job in North Carolina the day after. Now, here's a reminder. Pollard was also there at the graduation to see his own family. Now, the prosecution says there is no evidence that the Commonwealth is going to put before the jury showing that Jackson and Pollard had any contact before that day, although both sides do agree that there was, quote, bad blood between the two of them. Now, police say Jackson and Pollard did exchange words shortly after the graduation outside, and video evidence of that will be presented to the court, and it will show that interaction. Now, McKeechin went on to say that Pollard shortly after went back to his own vehicle, retrieved a gun that he had brought from home that was in that vehicle, and then he came back, eventually firing 6 shots at Sean Jackson from behind. McKeechin said video evidence shows that Sean's stepfather, Renzo, who was killed in another shooting, started firing at Pollard. She also said several of Sean's friends who were close by also started responding to this active shooter situation. Now, we did hear from a witness. He was a juvenile. He was seeing his cousin at the Huguenot High School graduation. He said he did hear an argument in Monroe Park, and he did see Sean Jackson actually start to walk away. He also said that he was hit in the leg by one of those stray bullets from the shooting aftermath. Now, something that the prosecution really wants this jury to think about is, did Amari Pollard intentionally bring a gun to the scene and shoot and kill Sean Jackson intentionally? They want them to really just focus on that to determine if Amari Pollard is guilty or not. In Richmond, I'm Elizabeth Holmes, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, Pollard's defense team also made their opening statements today. Our Tyler Lane is live to break down their arguments. Tyler?
Yeah, and Janine, that was a very different version of this same story. Now, Amari Pollard's attorney says that Pollard acted in self-defense, and he told the jury that Pollard had a right to protect himself and his family from Sean Jackson. They say that Sean Jackson and his group acted aggressively toward Pollard 7 different times before Pollard ultimately made the decision to shoot and kill Jackson. Now, Pollard's lawyer, Jason Anthony, said in the moments leading up to the shooting, Sean Jackson was in a group of 5 people, and between them all, they had 5 guns. And right after the graduation, Anthony said that Jackson's stepfather, Renzo Smith, went to his car to grab 2 guns, one for himself and one for Jackson. Anthony said the group of 5 approached Pollard in the park first and threatened him several times. He claimed that Jackson lifted up his robe and indicated that he was, quote, strapped, and at one point said, quote, "I'm going to crush you." Anthony said Pollard heard the words, "shoot him," and that's when Pollard ran away. Then the defense said that Jackson grabbed Pollard, and that's when Pollard fired 6 gunshots into Jackson, killing him. Anthony claimed that Jackson's friends, while trying to kill Pollard, were responsible for instead shooting and killing Jackson's own stepfather, Renzo Smith, as well as injuring the 5 other shooting victims who survived. One of those men in the group, according to Anthony, was, quote, jumping jumping up and down as he shot into a crowd. Anthony said that the 3 cohorts of Jackson's have only been charged with misdemeanors for their involvement in the shooting, and this is the first time we're hearing about other charges involved. Richmond police told me just moments ago that its department, Richmond specifically, has not charged any adults in connection to the shooting. They cannot confirm whether juveniles have been charged. Now, I did ask both the defense as well as Commonwealth's attorney Colette McKeachin about these additional charges, and both said that they could not comment at this time. I'm Tyler Lane, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, Tyler. We've learned just how many taxpayer dollars Richmond public school leaders spent on a third-party investigation into the shooting. That investigation found RPS staff allowed the slain student to attend graduation against its own policies without conducting a threat assessment and without any consideration of safety concerns, despite knowing about threats to the student's life. The final bill from law firm Sands Anderson for its investigation was more than $88,000.
And that is 4 times the $22,000 that Richmond Public Schools initially had estimated. Now, according to invoices reviewed by CBS 6, about $8,000 of Sands Anderson services went toward efforts to prevent the report from being released and to assist in a lawsuit that had been filed by CBS 6 and the Richmond Times-Dispatch that alleged RPS had violated the Freedom of Information Act. Now, we should note the judge has already ruled that neither side can use that report to build a case in this particular criminal trial.
CBS 6 will have multiple crews covering this case both inside and outside the courtroom here all week long. You can follow the latest developments and read all of our coverage on this case on our free CBS 6 News app.